We've got to talk about two Newcastle United players in today's video. Two players that came from the same club in Milan. Both of their names start with a T. It is Malick Thiaw and Sandro Tonali. Because those two guys just look a level above the rest of Newcastle right now for me. Those two guys have been phenomenal this season. And I don't think they're in the conversations they need to be in. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about Newcastle United. Now, being totally honest, I didn't watch your game against West Ham. I was out and about, but apparently you weren't very good versus West Ham, is what I heard. But what I do know is I've watched you in the Champions League, and you look a lot better in the Champions League than in the Premier League. This is a third win and third clean sheet in a row for Newcastle United in the Champions League. And Newcastle United are currently in the top 8 in the Champions League as well, which, if that continues, means you don't have to play the playoff game. You're currently 6th in the Champions League. And let me look at your fixtures, Newcastle UCL fixtures. How many interesting fixtures you got next? You've got Marseille next, which is going to be a difficult game. Leverkusen, that have looked pretty crap this season, away though. PSV at home, which you should win, and PSG away. So I look at Newcastle and I think if you can get results in those games bar PSG, you're finished in the top 8 and go through to the next round. And right now you're looking stronger in the UCL. That was a 2-0 win for Newcastle, a third clean sheet, and Dan Burn scored one of the best headers you'd ever see. Only Dan Burn can run at a header like that and manage to curl it in the top corner with his head. That takes a different level of skill. Joel Linton gets a goal as well. And I think a well-deserved goal from Joel Linton. I think he's not been particularly good lately, but I thought that was a much better performance from Joel Linton. And that's 9 goals scored and 0 conceded since your opening defeat to Barcelona in the Champions League. And while you're not at your best domestically, I think these wins are important if you can take the confidence and clinicalness and composure from these wins into the Premier League. What I do think and what I am questioning is just how strong the Premier League is compared to other leagues. Like, I look at Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Brentford, these kind of teams. And I just think those teams could challenge for top 4 in all the other leagues. I honestly think the Premier League is ridiculously tough because every Premier League team is just going and smashing it in the Champions League. Like, Liverpool have been atrocious, and 2 of their last 3 wins in the last 10 games have come in the Champions League against Frankfurt and Real Madrid. I look at just the Premier League teams and how dominant we are in the Champions League, and I do think the Premier League is just a different level. I don't think people realise there's no easy games in the Premier League. Fulham isn't an easy game. Brentford isn't an easy game. There's no easy game in the Premier League this season. There's no Southampton. There's Wolves are still a good side. I feel like the Premier League is just nuts level-wise, which is, again, Newcastle need to take this into Premier League because the level is nuts. But I want to talk about the duo that is carrying Newcastle right now and Mr. Magnificent. We've got to start by talking about Sandro Tonali. If I share my screen here, this guy with a Player of the Match award, this guy is absolutely nuts, people. He is phenomenal. And the Premier League tweeted this: which defensive midfielder has impressed you the most? I don't see Tonali. I see Bruno Guimaraes, very good midfielder, but he plays a bit further up than Tonali. You just know these admins don't watch football. You know, when people aren't putting Tonali in this conversation, it's because they don't watch football. Declan Rice has played more of an 8 this season. Xhaka's been more of an 8 than a 6 this season. And I think that Bruno Guimaraes plays further up than Tonali. Why is Tonali not here? Why is Tonali not in this conversation? That's why I'm going to title this video something like Serious Conversations about Tonali. Why isn't Tonali in these conversations? I'm a Manchester United fan, and Tonali's a top 3 midfielder this season. Tonali, Caicedo and Gravenberch are the best number 6s in the league for me. I see Declan Rice as an 8. I think Adam Wharton's class. I think Elliot Anderson's class. But Tonali, Gravenberch and Moises Caicedo, hands down, by far the top 3 in the league for me. They are phenomenal players. If Tonali was putting in the performances he did for Newcastle at Manchester City or at Liverpool or at Chelsea or at Arsenal, the talk about Tonali would be everywhere. It would be on Sky Sports. It would be everywhere. He'd be in every tweet. But people don't watch loads of Newcastle. Ignore Newcastle. Talk about Bruno Guimaraes, who plays further up. Ignore Tonali. Serious conversations needed about how good Tonali's been, because this isn't a this season thing. This was a last season thing. I watched the Tottenham game, ran Tottenham's midfield ragged. Every big game you play in, he is there running people ragged. There needs to be a conversation about Tonali, because the guy is nuts. Absolutely nuts. He is the engine, he is the brain, and it was another masterful performance from Sandro Tonali. He has the ability to control tempo, win the ball back, and progress play, which is elite stats to have. He is everywhere. He will break up attacks. He will recycle possession. He will create rhythm. He will set the tempo. He will do everything you want off the ball. And Newcastle have a very good defensive record. Another clean sheet today off the ball. But when he gets the ball, he's got that calmness under pressure that can set the tempo, let the midfield click, and keep recycling possession. He makes Newcastle look more structured. He's a world-class player. He is a world-class player, and he's not really got the credit for that. Now, there's one more player I want to talk about at Newcastle, and that is Malick Thiaw. Malick Thiaw has been fantastic this season. A lot of Milan fans hating on him, saying he's average, and don't like that Newcastle fans are hyping him up. But Malick Thiaw has been good. Malick Thiaw today was, again, a standout performer. Malick Thiaw is bringing the composure and to that back line. He looks comfortable on the ball. I think Malick Thiaw has been phenomenal. I think Botman's a good player, but, Botman's not right now. Malick Thiaw is looking like Newcastle's best centre-back at the moment. Maybe Shaw was missed in this game for his line-breaking passes, but Malick Thiaw in the first half had 52 touches, which was the most, 42 passes, which was the most, and won 7 aerial duels in the first half alone. He wasn't just winning duels, he was winning a lot of duels, but he was playing the ball really well. He was breaking lines, he was reading everything. Only Van Dijk has a higher duel rate in the Premier League this season than Malick Thiaw. Malick Thiaw has become Newcastle's most consistent and maybe dominant player this season, along with Tonali. Voltemada's great, but Voltemada didn't get any service today. Voltemada needs service to score the goals, to provide. And that's something that Newcastle need to work on. Service, boom. But I look at him, and he's looking like a top defender. Only Van Dijk's won more duels than him this season. Him and Tonali have been phenomenal. In terms of other notes I have from the game, I thought Joelinton needed to have a good game. I think there's calls, and rightly so, for Joelinton to be dropped. I don't think Joelinton's been great lately, but I thought Joelinton was good. I think he deserved that goal. He should have scored earlier on, to be honest. I thought Joelinton brought pressing and energy and drive from midfield, which is a big part of his game, which I don't think he's brought in other games this season. I thought Joelinton looked back to his best. I think the goal will give him confidence. But I do look at Lewis Smiley, I do look at Jacob Ramsey, and I do say they should be given a run in if Joelinton's form doesn't improve. It was great to see Lewis Hall back on the pitch. Dan Burns done a job at left back, but Lewis Hall naturally is a left back, and he's going to hold the width, and he's going to give a bit more pace and a bit more overlaps and stuff. And I think a fully fit Lewis Hall will make a big difference to your left-hand side, 100%. And look, I think it wasn't Newcastle's best game. I think the attack is still clicking. Anthony Elanga is just not the Elanga that we know he can be. Gordon isn't looking great, to be totally honest. I think Anthony Gordon, obviously I think he's come off injured, but Anthony Gordon, yeah, he's been mixed bag this season. Elanga hasn't got firing, and that Newcastle attack really needs to get firing, because I think Newcastle can do all they want, but if the attack isn't performing, that's what's letting them down. Voltemada was dropping maybe a little too deep, and maybe the chemistry needs to be improved with the front three. I thought Barnes looked sharper, but Newcastle definitely need to improve in attack and get more service to Voltemada. I think Vissa coming back will improve them, but their wingers need to step up, and I think when their wingers play well, Newcastle have a good game and Newcastle win. But look, I think Eddie Howe made the right subs. I think Eddie Howe made the right adjustments. And I think Newcastle showed more control, particularly in the second half. I thought Trippier was good as well. Trippier, Thiaw and Tonali definitely dictated the tempo there. But it was a compact performance from Newcastle defensively. It was a good second half. It was a strong second half. I thought the first 15 minutes of the second half, you really came out and you went and got that second goal. And I think you never looked like you were going to lose that game or draw that game. But look, Bilbao made it difficult for you. And I think, you've just got too much player quality to not win that game. Anyway, Newcastle fans, I'm intrigued to know your thoughts down below on the match. Who was your man of the match? My man of the match was Mr. Sandro Tonali. How good has he been this season? Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.